Hello everybody, my name is Sally-Ann Spence and welcome to the Hills Quarry Products dig site in Surney Wick. Now we have an amazing excavation going on now, possibly the biggest paleontological excavation in the UK in fact, with over 20 universities represented, and we have material from both the Ice Age and the Jurassic. Now we have all sorts of different experts coming into the site to help us with various parts of identification and technological things that we can use, equipment, all sorts of different things. And one of the people who's come in to see us and has been taking part in the dig as well is Dr. Judyth Sassoon. Hello Judyth.
Hi, hello Sally-Ann.
Now you're from Bristol University.
I am.
And we have got an array of what I think are bones in front of us.
Yes, that's quite right. So whilst I'm sometimes at the university doing my research, I also do some education. And these two spinal columns, these vertebral columns from two different animals, are some of my teaching tools. So I use these to teach students comparative anatomy. And the two columns that we've got in front of us are the column of a bovid, so that means a cow, which means in fact it's a young calf, that's this one exactly, and one of a phalid, which means a cat. It's a big cat, not a domestic cat.
So this would be a lion or
it's
jaguar
probably
or...
more likely to be a panther.
Panther, okay.
But
right.
so a phalid and a bovid, so a carnivore and a herbivore. And I use these for comparative anatomy.
Ah, right. Well, that's quite handy because we've been digging up all sorts of bones from the Ice Age area of the dig.
Yes.
To keep yourselves updated as to why we've got Jurassic and Ice Age in the same place, please go back through our videos where you will meet various geologists telling us all about that, and other paleontologists as well. So do look at all those videos for context. Right, yes, Judyth. So, where would you like to start? Because these are all bones that we found at the dig. So
yeah, so maybe the best thing is just to give a few highlights about the vertebral columns themselves, and then just to say how they might help us to hone in our anatomical skills, so that we can then identify and even place vertebrae that we find from the Ice Age. This is most relevant for Ice Age material because these are obviously modern mammals, and from the Ice Age we're getting the mammal material. So in the mammal spine, in the mammal vertebral column, we have it divided into the neck vertebrae, the cervical vertebrae, we have the thoracic series, we have the lumbar series, and then we also have a sacrum, and usually after that we have some vertebrae which make up the tail. They are missing in both these creatures. So in this one, in the bovid, the cow, in the calf rather, it's got 7 cervical vertebrae, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yes, 7. Then we've got a thoracic series and some lumbar vertebrae going into the sacrum. Again, in the cats, we have 7 cervical vertebrae, and the thoracics, the lumbar and the sacrum. And there are some differences and there are some similarities between cervical vertebrae in both these animals, and also between cervical vertebrae in other animals of different species. Now, this morning I had some students building these vertebral columns for me to see how good they were at it, and they were very, very good indeed. They managed to get them built up. And then we took some of the specimens from our site. Here are 2 vertebrae of bison. Now we know they are bison because we can compare them to the vertebral column of, out of these 2, the closest one would be the calf. So we can take this.
I'll tell you what, Judyth, what I'm going to do, everybody who's on the dig has to do all sorts of different jobs, not just the digging. Camera work is one of those jobs. I've got Stephen. Hello, Stephen. Stephen Cousins, he's busy, our cameraman. Would you mind bringing the camera down and so we can have a little bit closer look?
Yes, that would be very good.
Thank you.
So I'm just going to lean over you, Sally-Ann, I'm so sorry.
That's fine, go ahead.
And what we're going to do is we're going to, first of all, take the atlas and axis away. They are very strange looking vertebrae, but we are obviously not dealing with one of those here. In this large bovine vertebra, we can recognise the direction. So we can recognise that there is a convexity, a convexity on the front part, anteriorly, and a concavity posteriorly. So we know which way it's oriented. That is the front, that is the back. So here we have, I'm now separating the cervical vertebrae in our model. And I'm now just going to look to see which one of those it potentially compares to most closely. Now, it's not going to be exact because this is a young calf, modern cow, domestic cow. This is a wild bison from the Ice Age, so I don't expect them to be exact, but I do expect some similarities.
I was going to say, there's a lot of similarities
there are
there,
indeed,
aren't
so
there?
we can certainly identify this as a cervical vertebra, and potentially it could be somewhere between this one and this one. So there's two candidates.
I'm going to move this if I can out of the way.
Thank you,
Judy, so
and
we
this
can
one too.
concentrate a little bit more on the...
Two potential candidates, and now we need to decide what they are. So this one, for example, if we look at it from the back,
There we are.
I think we can see that these lateral processes, the transverse processes as they're called, are a little bit too high to be the same as these. But if we look at this one, then we see that the transverse processes are level with the foramen, which is called the transverse foramen. So I would suggest that this vertebra is probably equivalent to this one. So what would that make it? Let's just put these back together again. Probably it would be number 5, I think. Is that right? Let's just have a look. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Then this one. Just this one, I'm afraid, will be here. And this, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's probably right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
So it's this one here.
Yeah, and so we're saying that it's probably this one. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is probably number 6 in the bovine.
That's fantastic, actually.
So we can place
It's a
it.
really good teaching aid, isn't it?
It is, and what is also nice is when students actually put these together, they get the eye in. So they will instantly recognise this as a cervical vertebra of something.
Yeah.
And then they will refine their knowledge and their identification.
Right.
Now we can also take another one, and this is also a cervical vertebra. It's a little bit more tricky because, as you can see, it's a little bit manky. Oh,
is that a scientific term?
it is indeed a scientific term, but we can say perhaps it's a little abraded. So we can again orient it, so we need to orientate it so that these processes are anterior, and this process, the convex one, as part of the centrum, is anterior, this is posterior. So we know the orientation now. And now we have to decide where it lies. So we'll go by these two holes,
Right.
the transverse foramina, and we'll also see that there is a process lacking there, so it's lower, going lower down, so it's probably a little later than the previous one,
Right, so that's our previous one there.
making it potentially, possibly earlier. Let me just have a quick look. I think we might be looking at this one. So that'd be 2, 4, 5. I think.
As you say, that's an extinct animal, and this is one that's
Yeah.
still with
So
us.
there are
so
some
there are going to be
Yeah,
some
differences.
differences.
But I think that's a sort of pretty game that we can play with these.
That's fantastic, and it certainly helps the students in the field.
Yeah.
When they, especially as they start to excavate, and they get just a little bit of something starting to appear, say that much, to immediately get their eye in that they're dealing with part of a vertebrae.
Yes, that's right. It's a very fun thing to do, and it's one of my favourite parts of paleontology and comparative anatomy is playing these sorts of games. The other thing that this can actually help us do is when we've got unknown animals. I mean, these ones we recognised as bison, but we've got a few vertebrae we haven't yet quite placed them
Oh yes,
in the
right,
animal
Steve,
kingdom.
we need you back in because we've got some really exciting. Now these are, if you've been watching our videos, these have been, they're not formally identified yet, but we haven't talked about these at all. So this is an exciting moment.
I'm not going to identify them.
No,
all
we're not.
I'm going
We're
to
going to say
do,
might be and probably, could be.
all I'm going to do is say, I don't know who they are, I don't know what they are, But I can tell you what kind of vertebra it is just on the basis of comparative procedure. So I can say to you this is an atlas. Why? Because it resembles most closely this very, very peculiar vertebra that we find at the front, at the very front of the vertebral column. This is the one from the cat, this is the one from the cow, this is the one from our unknown animal, and it is the one that holds the skull. So this vertebra, this atlas, would have held the skull of our unknown animal right here. And the rest of the vertebral column from this animal would have gone posteriorly in that direction. We would have had the spinal cord connect. The brain would be here, the spinal cord would be threaded through this hole, this large hole here, and trailing backwards. So that is an atlas. We can tell from the shape. A little bit more complex was this one, which came up, and it's partial again. Again, it's not easy to place this one, but I would suggest that it is a lumbar vertebra of some animal. It could be a hyena, it could be something of that sort, but we haven't yet identified it. It's quite broken, but we can tell that it is a lumbar vertebra on account of the fact that the breaks on the sides suggest a lateral process like this. I'm comparing it to the cow. It's entirely the wrong animal really to compare it to, but nevertheless, even in the cow,
a rough indication of shape, isn't it?
It does give a rough indication of shape. And then we have these two front processes, anterior processes, which are obviously holding on to something there. And there's the elongation of the vertebra, and then it's broken again. So we don't have the dorsal process, the neural spine, indicated there. But we can say, yeah, this is a lumbar vertebra from some creature.
That's quite exciting, because when we start mixing these things with the chew marks we have on bones and the copperites we have, it starts to get very exciting.
That's
so we've got another bone just
and
there.
then we have this one, which is again from a different part of the spine. It's a slightly larger creature than this one. This we can tell. We can also go by size. This first one is a very large creature, and we can see that this one is one of the thoracic vertebrae. How do we know? We know this. Okay, it's missing a spinal, a neural spine. Nevertheless, it's got these kind of rather bulbous transverse processes, and we can see also facets, these flat bits on either side of the centrum.
Can we pick that up on the camera?
Can we pick that up on the camera? These flattened facets.
There we are.
They just look a little bit flat. Yeah, you can see that. That's where rib connections go.
Okay.
And so in the vertebral column, again, we can look at our cow. The cow will actually show us this. The facets in the thoracic vertebrae are made up of one vertebra and the one following it. So there's a facet. There's a facet. These are called costal facets. And the ribs sit connected to the, on this vertebra, it's actually broken off, but to this structure here and the facet. So the ribs would be connected, as it were, sort of like in these.
Fantastic.
In these positions here.
So we have identified this is not a cow, by the way.
Definitely not a cow.
Definitely not a cow or a bison. So
not a bison.
Potentially very excited about this one.
Could be a bear, a small bear, maybe.
We are using the could be, possibly, maybe, because it's not been formally identified.
But definitely thoracic vertebra.
But
that we can
very
be sure
excited.
Of, So, thanks to Richard Owen's homology, which, even though it's in a sense out of date to some degree, it's a very, very good heuristic to go by. His special homologies, or the homology between species, we can identify the position of vertebrae amongst mammals relatively, not easily, but with some confidence. And the other thing is it's an artistic process as well as a scientific one, which
Well,
always makes it rather nice.
Yeah, we were talking about this earlier on, how art and science, we believe, do go together.
They do, yes.
But it's been a brilliant thing, because this is also another part of the dig, having the students here. We've got a tented village behind us. We've got all these people living on site for potentially the whole 3 weeks, sometimes just for a shorter period. And we're running workshops with them, training days, lectures, all these other things going on. And this was a brilliant workshop, getting them to understand and recognise bones.
Yes, I think that what's happened with this excavation, this dig, has been absolutely enormously useful, and it's like no other training programme that the students have ever done, because these pop-up talks that all of us have enabled us to share our knowledge with students. We wouldn't do that if we're back at university. We just don't have time. But here, the weather sometimes makes us do something different, or we just want to, and the students are interested and they want to break. We can do all this. And then, of course, there are the evening lectures, which have been such a fun and pleasurable activity.
Something amazing. Yeah. And you gave one yourself.
I did indeed, yes.
Can you tell us what yours was about?
Mine was about pliosaurs. I'm interested in Kimmeridgian pliosaurs, so my talk here was about Kimmeridgian pliosaurs, which I'm studying at the moment. Yeah,
and it was absolutely brilliant.
Thank you,
Judyth. Thank you very much for explaining this to us and showing us as well. We are incredibly excited about these 3 bones, which we do believe are from 3 different animals.
They are from 3 different animals. I'm quite
3
sure
different
about, yes.
species of animals, and that's as far as we're going to go, because we are early days, but very exciting. These videos are live, raw, unedited, directly from the dig. Unfortunately, this is a working quarry landscape, so we're unable to have open to visitors, basically. We're unable to be open to visitors. So what we wanted to do was make this dig accessible to you by these videos. So please do go scrolling through them to have a good look at everything else, because we've got some amazing people, including Judyth yet again in the field. I think we've got a video of you down in the quarry when there and then you found a bone.
So no, I didn't find it. That was our friend Julian.
Oh, Julian found it.
Julian did a video, I think, with you earlier.
Not very happy to do videos. He's sort of rather, he's a bit shy.
Yeah, well,
but we have got him in the background of a few videos. So
yeah,
yes.
no, he showed me the find, and I was lucky
so you went in front of the
lucky
camera.
enough to interpret it in front of the camera. There we are.
Well, it was absolutely brilliant. So do go back, because it's really exciting. And this is the thing. It's an incredible dig, isn't it? We don't know what's next.
It's very exciting. Something's been coming up every day from last.
Well, Judyth actually left the dig for a bit, and now she's back. That's how exciting it is. You can't stay away.
No, I can't stay away. Unfortunately, work calls me back sometimes, but then I come back and
what's it like?
Enjoy it.
I was going to say, what's it like when you come back and there's been more finds since you got?
Normally, what happens is Nev or Sally come up to me and go, "Oh, by the way, yesterday when I wasn't here, yesterday we had a whole bonanza of bones, bone bonanza." That's what Nev told me this morning. So I felt very great about that, and then I actually saw the specimens. It included it was a plesiosaur paddle.
Yes.
And I believe somebody talked about it.
Yes. Again, look back in the videos, because we are literally down in the excavation site when they discover it. So we rush over and we see it, and it's just brilliant. It's brilliant. It's all happening here. I tell you, it's live. It's happening everywhere. Yeah. And what have you thought about the bones? Because unfortunately, it is a turbulent riverbed that a lot of these bones have been deposited on. So
we've got a mixture of things. We got a lot of damage. We got a lot of a mixture of things, but that doesn't really matter. I mean, it's a challenge then for the anatomist to identify them, because we get partial bones, broken bones, unknown bones. I don't know every animal, and I just sometimes have to scratch my head a little bit, but that's fun. That makes it fun, challenging, intriguing, and as a site, it's quite unique. And so varied. I think someone found signs of human activity today.
We have lithics here.
We have lithics.
We have found lithics and a Neanderthal.
Okay.
So very exciting.
All the more, I know nothing about that, but I think that's makes it even better.
As we clean up bones, we are going to have them
Yeah.
all examined for butchery marks and cut marks. I mean, there's a whole
Yeah.
massive story here.
We wondered about that vertebra. So one of the students
Was this
pointed
one?
out, yeah, the larger
Ooh.
one. One of the students pointed out that there were some marks on these anterior processes. I'm sorry, yeah, on these posterior processes. I beg your pardon. They're just on the flat things. But to be honest, they are. You can't really see
Yeah,
them. They're scratch marks. So we have to be very careful in interpreting. Yeah. But at the same time, I think, since there is human activity, we should be looking out for such things.
Absolutely.
And maybe on some bone we actually find something genuine.
Well, we are, very much in the field here. The excavation site is a few metres there. Our tented village is just here. All our conservation area, mess tents, and everything else is around us here. We are very much on site, just getting these things recorded, collecting that data, getting them out of the ground, doing everything we need to do to preserve them and stabilise them. And the real research and identification, the real serious nitty-gritty starts after the dig is finished.
Yes, it does.
Which is in only a few days' time, and we're all going to be very sad when that happens, but that is just
Some of us are going to be very busy preparing some of the fossils. I know Richard Forrest is going to be preparing some of our fossils, and there'll be more research to do, that's for sure.
There's a lot of
master's
research.
Projects, possibly PhDs.
Yes, we have got several students here who are going to be using this as their thesis work and research. So, keep following these videos. As I said, it is the site that keeps giving. It's really exciting, and I hope that you are enjoying watching what we're doing here, because we are most certainly enjoying being a big part of this. It's just been something else. So keep watching those videos, and the hashtag is TUSForce.
Thank you.